In this lesson, we'll learn how to add multiple 3D scenes into one single normal HTML page. Until now, we have learned how to have one big canvas taking the entire screen, but now we learn how to have it like image or videos within a single page. We have that 3D model here. If we scroll, we have other 3D scenes. We can switch between the kind of things we are displaying. If we scroll again, we have our team. We have one 3D model per team members. And we have a 3D slider to display our portfolio. The solution that could come to your mind to reproduce that website would be to have one canvas at the right place, here in this zone, here and here, but it will be a lot of canvas. And there is a better technique, which is called the views component from Dry, that will do the tracking for us and allow us to have one single canvas for all the page. The starter pack contains the boilerplate HTML page without any 3D within, just placeholders where we can display our 3D scenes. To create and render multiple 3D scenes into our page, we'll be using the view component from Dry library. By using it, we will have one single canvas in our page, rendering the different scenes. You can check the documentation and examples, but we will learn how it works together. Our page is located in the homepage component. We have all our UI, and we will need to add our canvas to render 3D items. Let's create ours. So in the main component, canvas from React 3 Fiber, we'll add the class name canvas. It's already defined in the index CSS. It's just taking the whole screen as usual, but then the view component will cut it. And we define our camera settings. So the position 0, 0, and 1.5. And the field of view, I will be using 30. We won't build the 3D elements together. I already prepared some 3D components. The first one is Hero 3D. We need to import it. I don't know why the auto import is not working. So Hero 3D from Hero 3D. This is the phone with the flower animations. But the issue we have is if we scroll, as the canvas is taking the whole screen, it's always here and it's not moving. To make it linked to the HTML section we want, we will need a reference to the section. Let's find the hero. So this is a section like the other sections. You can see it here. We want a reference to it. Let's name it hero container. Then inside our code, hero container is equal to useRef. Now we have our reference to it. Inside our canvas, we will wrap our Hero 3D component within a view. And what it requires is the track element to be our reference, so hero container. Now what happens if we scroll is the 3D item is attached to the section it belongs to. If we look at the inspector, we have that section, the hero one, and it's perfectly aligned every time, while we still have only one canvas inside our scene. Let's repeat the process for the other section. So we have that zone here for the services. We have the different team members, one for each. And the portfolio section. We will have a services container, the different team members, and the portfolio. Now let's link the reference to it. So services, I named it services slider display. Ref is equal to services container. Let's jump to the team section. Here it is. I also named them display, so it's easier to find them. Reference is equal to John Doe container. Then Julia Doe. Here, reference is Julia. And Linda, where is the display here? Julia. Okay, perfect. Now the last one, the display. Portfolio container. Of course, you can see that I put the whole code of our page within one big component, the home page. Even if for the hero section, you can see that I created it within another component. It's just a way to show you how it works. I used the forward ref to be able to have access to the ref in the parent component. Now we have all our reference ready for tracking. We will create our views in the canvas. View track services container. Inside, we'll be using the services 3D component with the current service is equal to current service. This is this part here to know what the service 3D component need to render. We have already the logic set with current service and set current service. The HTML is already connected. Then we have one view per team member. So John Doe container view here. I created a generic component which is named team member. We need to import it manually. What it takes is the model we want to use. So this one is suit. If we look at the code, you can see model, it has a default value, and it's just what we pass to use GLTF. And we adjust the position Y and the rotation 1 for this model. We repeat for the two other team members. So we have Julia and Linda. For Julia, we'll be using the formal one. By the way, I think they take an uppercase letter. And for Linda, we'll be using the default one, the casual. We can play with the rotation here. So far, we have added the services. It's not working, but we will see later why. Then we have the team members, but we need to add some lighting. As each of them is a private scene within a view, we need to add the lighting to each of them. So environment preset is equal to sunset. We didn't need to do it for the others because they already contain the lighting setup. Okay, way better now. Let's finish it with the portfolio. Track is equal to portfolio container. And the component is portfolio 3D. We need to import it like the others. Portfolio 3D from portfolio 3D. Now we have all our 3D scenes rendered at the correct place, but they are not working. The click events are not triggered. We can't switch, and it's even going on top of the HTML here. You can see we can't select the text. What we need to do is to tell the canvas what is the event source it will be using to track the different mouse events. It requires a reference. We'll name it container, and it will be the reference of the main component here. So let's define it. Container and save. Let's try again. Now we can select the text here, but I think this part was working. And for the different services, we can now click. It's working perfectly. We can hover the 3D model and they are playing their animation. And for the portfolio, it's working correctly. Now our project is finished and you can see it was very easy to do. But let's discuss other scenarios you could encounter while using the views that we didn't encounter together. On this project, only the home section is sharing the exact same position for both the HTML and 3D items. If we go to our code into the CSS, you can see that on the hero section, our home section, we have position relative at z-index at 1. Let's comment them. What happens is now we can't see our HTML anymore because it is behind the 3D scene. This is because our hero 3D section, it contains a background and a fog. Let's remove it. And now because within our 3D screen it is transparent, we can see it properly. But we would have an issue if the 3D model was colliding with the text. So it really depends on your scene and your project. Let's reset it correctly. You have to question yourself, do you want the 3D scene to be on top of the HTML or does it have to be below? And so you can decide, does the background has to come from the 3D scene or can it come like for our gradients here that are coming from the HTML? So it's a decision you have to take and you make different tests. Another thing to have in mind is currently we have one camera for all the different scenes. Let's go to Hero 3D and add the Orbit Controls component. Now in the hero section, we are able to move the camera, but it's moving the camera for all the different scenes. So now it's not aligned correctly. This is because we have only one camera. But if you need multiple cameras, you could add them manually. Maybe we can use the same settings, So it's in the homepage, we have our canvas. Let's copy those settings. Position is equal to this, field of view 30. We need to add make default. Now, if we move the camera or zoom out in this scene, it's not impacting the other ones. Now, last thing to consider is, do you want to use the views component? It has one big drawback that in some case would lead you to choose using multiple canvas. If you scroll, you can see here at that line that we can see a small delay, and we can see the 3D model is a bit hovering the HTML. This is because we have one big canvas and is drawing the things at the right position. It's not really a div inside that zone. So sometimes you have that delay. In most projects, it's not an issue and still it looks good and more performant. But sometimes you can decide to use multiple ones. It's up to you and your projects.